Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today with Marie-Luise Vollbrecht, which is a Ossification of a German name, which she will now tell you how to say properly.
Marie-Luise Vollbrecht.
Not so far off, but a bit far off. Marie-Luise Vollbrecht. Okay. PhD. Brecht.
Yes.
Okay, so you are a PhD student in biology at a German university. Is that still true?
Yes, it's still true. But I'm going into the final stage. So I hopefully in the beginning of next year I will start writing everything together and then I be finished.
Wonderful.
And it took me quite a while. I never had a plan that it will take me so long, but COVID happened and
of course.
I lost 2 years. And then, other things happened and it also took a bit more time. But yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've had a lot going on during the PhD time as well, which is kind of why we're talking today. So we'll get to that as well. But yeah, PhDs at the best of times can go on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's marvelous.
Yeah. Okay, so you've had so this video will go up on Feminist Heretics. Our audience is kind of familiar with TERF style cancellation issues, but I think you've had a pretty dramatic version of that experience, and maybe your experience is quite singular in Germany, from what I understand. So do you want to tell us a bit about maybe where it started, which I suppose is this talk? You gave a highly controversial, inflammatory talk about the death of all trans people, or what? What is it that you said? What?
No. Actually, I just wanted to give a talk in a public science event. We call it the Long Night of the Science, and here in Berlin, a lot of the museums and the universities participate, and they always have a common theme. And the theme was misconceptions in science and fake news and what scientists' role is in this time where there are so many fake news published.
Yeah.
And and I thought, so there was one issue I really wanted to talk about. You don't have it. It's maybe a little bit hard to explain to an English speaker because you have these two words, right? You have sex and you have gender.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets mixed up also in the English everyday language, but you still have these two concepts. Yes. And in German, we academics sometimes use gender, but it's not used commonly. So they use Geschlecht, one word for everything. If they want to talk about gender roles, but also about the biology. And I just had a talk where I said, okay, I want to explain why there are only two sexes, and explain people again, on a high school level. I mean, there should be kids in the audience. So I was okay, I'm going to take these examples from animal kingdom and plants, and I talk a little bit about evolution, and I explain why sex is just a different concept than gender, and then there are only two sexes. Mm-hmm. So that was the main idea. That was what I pitched to the organizers of this event. I was hey, there's an ongoing discussion I really want to talk about. That's the way I want to talk about it.
And they were happy.
That was in January.
They were happy to have that talk. Okay.
They were happy to have it. I was just okay. I give it a try. Let's see if they want me to talk about it. I even talked with my PhD supervisor. I said, hey, I want to give there a talk there. Is it okay with you? He was yeah, it's your time, free time. So it was January 22, and I signed in this proposal. They said fine. I was in March, my talk was announced in the internet and on the website with like a bunch of other talks, like hundreds of other talks and events, and nobody really cared about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the long night of the sciences in July, beginning of July, 2022.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, does German have? So you said they have this one word Geschlecht, and it's for both what the English would separate as sex and gender. Do they have the man, woman, male, female distinction terms, or is it also like the one word for both there?
No. We say we have like male and masculine and female and feminine as well. Like this exists.
Yeah.
And man and woman.
Okay. Yeah. So you can make a distinction when you're referring to the individual between their sex and their something. Like, I guess the question is, what does the masculinity, femininity refer to? But you can't make the general category distinction between sex and gender conceptually, or at least there is.
Maybe to translate it would be like we use sex for both.
Oh, I see. Because you have both concepts, but you just use one word for both concepts.
Yeah, we use the same word for both. And sometimes when people want to distinguish it, they say biological sex and social sex.
Oh, I see.
But if I translate it, but this is still, it implies that it is somehow the same.
Yes.
The same thing, just two parts of one coin, like two sides of one coin, but in the thing is the same.
Yeah.
Just two ways of looking.
And social sex might have different implications for whether sex can be changed or the extent to which sex is socially constructed that gender as a separate concept wouldn't have or doesn't have in English. So that's interesting that the language can throw up more, or not even maybe more conflation, but different possibilities for confusion and conflation. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so were you able to just kind of give this talk and it went really well and then nothing happened, or what happens next?
Okay, no, it was a huge scandal. So, but maybe to explain why this happened, there was two things that happened between March and July where my talk was scheduled. And one thing was I also I had a Twitter profile, and I was arguing with people about feminist issues and sex and gender. I explained a lot of biology, but it was not under my real name. I had not my university affiliated with me. I had a picture, but with sunglasses. So I was somehow like people knew I am a real person, but not my name. And I found other scientists, mostly biologists or veterinarians. And in Germany, we have like, I don't know if you have it too, we have a broadcasting system for media, television, which is funded by everyone, like with some sort of a tax that you pay like every month. You pay like basically $19, and then they use it for like radio shows and television, and you have to.
Yeah.
And so I and this group of biologists and scientists and also some feminists, we saw that when we are discussing this issue with people online, they would always link us these broadcasting shows and also like science documentaries, and they always said the same thing, like, oh no, there are more than two sexes, there are three sexes, sex is a spectrum.
Yep.
You know that. And but it was also always, a lot of them were directed to kids.
Yep.
It had like a lot of sexual connotations. It was always connected with this trans child born in the wrong body narrative. And so we sat down and we collected all these examples of bad broadcasting. Like each show and we wrote like, okay, there is in this documentary, there is a person who says he's intersex and he has ovaries, like function ovaries, and he just needs a uterus transplant to get pregnant, and he has a penis. This is not possible. Like, really explain why a lot of these informations are false.
Yeah.
And then we published this,
Okay.
and also published a newspaper article, somehow advertising this. I don't want to call it study, but this like paper we wrote.
So,
and
just to interrupt, is this politically divided? Like in Australia, the parallel, and actually I think in Britain, like the BBC and the ABC, the public broadcasters, they would tend to be like very progressive, like they're trying to get the new, and then in Australia, for sure, if there was a academics open letter pushback or whatever, it would only be the conservative press that would publish that letter, and so it would immediately be divided. Is it the same in Germany, or did you have like a centrist or leftist press willing to publish and publicize that paper?
I think we tried to get multiple news outlets to write about it, but it was at the end a really conservative paper that published our article.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame, right? Because it immediately makes the issue look polarized when it isn't. But it's like what your options are for getting the criticism out there.
Yeah, and I mean, me and my co-workers, co-authors, we have a really diverse political background. Like I am really far left, or in the past I was really far left, and also my co-authors are left women, especially feminist women. But then we also have conservative people or liberal people. Yeah, it was not so much about the political. It was more about the main focus was on the facts and how we report about it.
Yes.
And that we need to come back to like a factual discussion and not reproduce all this false assumption.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking that should be the dialectic, right? It should be people who care about truth versus people who are doing activism or caring about ideology. But even when you try to tell that story, the story of science versus activism, it ends up being reported in a way that makes it look like left versus right. I just find that so frustrating as a feature of this debate.
It's true, and it's also hard because I am a scientist, so I have and I'm a biologist, so I have this one stand where I am actually really objective. Yeah. Like I am really objective when it comes to sex. But of course, I'm also a feminist. So people say like, yeah, but she has an agenda. She has an agenda. Yeah, of course, I have also an agenda.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect the science, or when I'm talking about science. For me, it's just, let's get the facts straight.
Yeah.
Like the biological facts, and then we can come together and have a discussion about how we want to organize a society. I am not saying in biology there are only two sexes, that's why we need also to arrange our society around these two sexes. I'm not doing it. I'm just saying we need to have the language straight, and we need to have the facts straight, and then we can come together. We can try to figure out a compromise between women's rights and other rights, right. And how we talk about these things.
Yeah.
And that was not possible because there's the confusion in the general public about how many sexes there are, what is a man, what is a woman, what is biology, is completely mixed up. Like there was a study, like a small study done after my talk, mm-hmm. where they asked people how many sexes are there, and almost half of the people they asked didn't know. Like they didn't know if there were only really two or more. So that's the state we are in.
And that's because of science communication around intersex and trans things. People feel like it's very complicated and it's a matter for experts. Is that the sort of reason why they're saying they're unsure?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also have a third. Only in 2019, Germany adopted we have a third. How you can say it?
Like a third legal sex category.
Category, right?
Yeah.
An intersex category. So before we had only male and female, and now we have a diverse category.
I see. So people might be responding to it as though you're asking a legal question rather than a biological question, and then they're confused about how many categories. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there something about Germany? Because again, it's interesting to make the comparisons, what it's like in Australia and New Zealand, the UK. Maybe we hear less from countries like Germany and France and Spain just because of the language barriers. Do you think there's something particular about Germany and what gets called wokeness in connection with Germany's history? Is it the overzealousness about inclusivity or minorities, or do you see Germany as being a uniquely deranged context for these issues, or do you think it's just roughly what's going on everywhere on this topic?
So if you ask me, there's 2 layers to it.
Okay.
So we have, I think, if it comes to pop culture and all these developments, we're always looking to the US, but we're also influenced by things that happen in the UK. Yeah. So all the discourse that was there in 2019 when J.K. Rowling spoke out and I got into this conversation. So I think we are a little bit behind, but we're recycling this discourse. But on the other hand, unrelated to this, I think that Germany has also a special deranged conversation about it because, Germany was the first country or one of the major big countries where we even had something we had a law for trans people in the 80s, in the beginning of the 80s, that you are allowed to go and change your gender category. And it was really limited and really strict, but trans activists fought against it. They're fighting against it since the 80s to get all these restrictions watered down. And now we actually reached a point that we have self-ID in Germany. It comes in November.
In the whole country? It's not state by state?
In the whole country.
Okay.
No, in the whole country, it will be insane. So there's just... you can just go to an office where you get your driving license, and then you say I want to be a man, or I want to be a woman, or I want to be something in between, and there will be no background check.
That's just
that's
nothing. Insane. We have that in my state of Australia, but not every state has it. It goes state by state, and some are still more sensible. Yeah.
Maybe just come back to say how this article that I wrote changed a little bit the outcome of my talk.
Okay.
Because this article I wrote with this other biologist and other scientists, it came out in June. So it was also Pride Month, and it sparked a huge conversation around Germany. And then I was kind of doxxed by a angry trans activist who claimed online to be intersex, and I explained that that's not possible. And then this activist wrote an email to my PhD supervisor. And no one at my university knew that I was involved in any kind of activism because I kept it really separate. Yeah. One thing is my work and my work environment, and my university is also really woke. Yeah. It's one of the wokest universities in Germany. And so I was outed at work. And there was also all these articles written about me. Like suddenly I was like famous, or my name was out there. And then the students, I don't know if it's called the student union, but the students who are like organized at my university, this trans activists that doxed me at my PhD supervisor also wrote to them, and this person was like, "Oh, I'm so afraid. I'm fearing for my life. This woman is a Nazi, or not is a Nazi, but she knows Nazis, and she will send. And I'm afraid for my wife and my daughter." And then it
like, you know, it was like to murder them. Like, what is the fear? What fear of what?
Yeah,
that's
it was
delusional.
This person was like, "Oh, I have to go there now to this university, but I feel not safe. How can I be safe? Like, oh, my daughter gets rape threats now because of this woman, because she marked me, and now neo-Nazis are coming after me." And I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but a lot of people took it actually seriously. And then
so what's the chance? Did it become such a big conversation in Germany that there at least plausibly were like far-right people opposing sex self-ID or whatever? Like, is there any connection to a backlash, or is it just like that sort of oppression, fetishism, delusional, false claims, theatrical? Like, what is your best guess about the truth of that?
I have to be a little bit I need a little bit of caution what I say, because this person is really happy to suing everyone around me right now. But
maybe feel free to not answer.
But maybe, let's say, I mean, they're also right. I mean, there are right-wing people and conservative people against self-ID. Sure, we don't really have a lot of neo-Nazis in Germany. I mean, we have like now a right-wing party that's like at 20%, and of course they are against self-ID, but we have also a big conservative party. But it's over the whole spectrum. Like one of my friends I work with, she's a feminist. She comes from the Green Party. Yeah. She and other people from the Green Party got actually like shunned because they say they're against self-ID. So it's not really. I mean, yeah, there are right people, but there are also people on the left. Like
I was thinking less about how opposition to self-ID divides. I was thinking, what are the chances that this person's claim that like they're getting mean emails from neo-Nazis or whatever, could that be true in the sense that like the discussion got so big in Germany that a few, like say there's just 13 far-right people in the whole country, but they got triggered and they did send one mean email. Is that possible, or it's just like probably not?
I think it's maybe possible that the person got a nasty email or nasty emails. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I also get them. Like everyone who's online yes. gets them, but it has nothing to do with me. I never sent anyone after this person.
Yeah.
All I did was like, I mean, this person was like, "Oh, it's an academic, social, of course, like social science," and he was like, "I am having now this network analysis of the German TERFs and how they work together with the right people, and let's share the truth about them." And all I did was, okay, so let's look at the truth, what you're claiming online. And then I was like, I said, let's embody some truth here, right? And then I was like listing all the things that this person said about their intersex status. I was like, that's like not possible. It's a medical miracle. And this person was like, no, a doctor confirmed it. I was like, where can I read it? Because that would amazing be like the most singular case. And then, I made this person really angry, apparently. So he wrote to my supervisor. He wrote to the university.
Yeah.
Then the students went crazy. The students claimed that my talk needs to be cancelled. because I talk about biology and that there are more than two sexes. So I'm obviously I hate humankind, and I hate queers and homosexual people and trans people.
Do you think it's more about you at this point? Like, it's not really about the talk or the claim. It's like they've made you the kind of person who's like denying his existence, or like, do you feel that it was about you, the person, more than the content of the talk by that time? Or
I mean, by the time it was some days before my talk, and the good thing was that I already gave my talk inside the university. So everyone could see what it was about. And it was not about anything political. It had nothing with trans in it. It had nothing with intersex in it. It was just about mostly animals, mostly evolution. And it was like completely harmless talk. And they claimed that only talking about two sexes is already against trans people, which makes no sense. But
I'm just thinking
what they said.
This guy who's got the fantasy of being intersex, like is this all playing out publicly? Like, you're saying this on Twitter, and then he's mobilizing the student activists. So they're really targeting you in a sort of vendetta for denying his identity or whatever. Is it more about you?
No. I think it's more like he or she. I have to.
You can. I won't.
I mean, in Germany, it can cost 10,000 euros to misgender someone.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Thank you, self-ID. So this person, this person who looks beautifully like a real woman, no one would ever know looking at this person.
Oh my God.
I think was just trying to get everyone agitated. It was not like go and be against this person because she's threatening me. It was more like, oh, this is a bad person at university and she wants to talk and be aware and biology. And then I had a Twitter shitstorm, and the university reacted and canceled the talk because they told me, okay, we cannot guarantee for anyone who enters the university, and there will be old people, there will be children. We don't want all this crazy activists storming in.
In they refused to provide security so that the talk could go ahead. They weren't willing to pay the cost of that, or they use that as a way of pretending it's not safe.
I don't know. It was not me. I said they were like, they will come, they will protest, they will yell at you. I was like, I don't care. I give the talk. Like, everyone can see the talk if they still have a problem with it. But it was not my decision. So
yeah, I'm just because they should have provided security. Like, they can't just. Again, I don't know what Germany is like on academic freedom, but there's this new higher education bill in the UK. And it's really quite specific that they can't just use these flimsy excuses to stop controversial talks. They can't. Melbourne does that to me. They're like, oh, we can't really afford the security. And then they get to be evasive and not have to put their money where their mouth is on academic freedom. So I'm just thinking, your university should have paid for security if there was a security threat. It's not a reason to cancel the talk.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't.
That's just my opinions about my university. Yeah, sorry.
I'm thinking about that.
Yeah.
And so it got cancelled. People still say it did not get cancelled because I gave the talk like a week later in like with a super high security. Like, bags were checked. I had like 3 security men protecting me, and one came in drag makeup. It was to protest me in silent. It was still like the weirdest shit ever.
That's so funny. Okay. And this was at the university. It was just a delayed. So they did end up supporting.
Yeah. So they said, oh, it's not cancel culture because it was delayed, but it was. I mean, it was actually canceled. It was not. It did not happen the day it was supposed to happen. And the thing is, what I did, I went to a friend of mine on her YouTube channel, and I just gave the talk there. I was like, okay, one can look at it.
Got it.
What I wanted to say, And then it was this like big media storm in Germany. Like everyone talked about it, every newspaper talked about it, and the narrative was, oh, there's so much cancel culture, and this poor biologist, she just wanted to talk about biology, and now she gets cancelled, and what's going on with students. So that was the narrative for a couple of days, where I was kind of the good girl, and the activists, the trans activists, and the students were the bad people.
Yep.
But then it shifted because I am really lucky. I had a really great lawyer at this point, because my friend said, you need a lawyer, better have a lawyer. And he also told me, yeah, but that will shift, and they will throw dirt on you. I was like, they should throw, like, there's nothing. I'm the nicest person ever. Like, maybe sometimes I have a kind of dark sense of humor on Twitter, but I never did anything in my whole life that's kind of controversial or criminal.
Yeah.
But still, the media, they came after me. There was even they took tweets of someone who talked to a neo-Nazi, and they photoshopped my picture on it, like in an article, in a prestigious newspaper, not like any newspaper, but they were like, here she is talking to a neo-Nazi. I was like, that's not me.
Wow.
Like, I can prove this is not my my tweet. But anyway, they were like, throwing around the word like Nazi, right-winged, hateful. I was threatening people online, and newspapers wrote about it. Like, there was like anonymous accounts on Twitter suddenly where said, oh, I'm a trans sex worker, and this woman threatened me with my life. And then newspapers would quote that as proof. I mean, I really tried with like to go the legal way and make them stop. And it was like, no, that's the source. That's the source. I was like, that's
an anonymous
anyone
Twitter
could have
account
written that.
With one follower that started yesterday. Crazy.
And all the students' union went crazy. They wrote like emails to every student at my university. 30,000 students or more got this email, like two emails actually, where they said that I'm a TERF, and then they explained what is a TERF, and that I hate trans people and I'm dangerous. They made actually like a place where people who fell to my victim, they were my victims, they should come.
It's just so stupid. Did they ever spell out the danger, or was it just was there any story about what the danger was, or it was just a word like you're dangerous? What were you?
No, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, till this day, there's a lot of rumors on the university what I did and what I didn't do. And I mean, I can say that no one ever called to this place. I'm teaching for 5 years now, and there was, to this day, never any complaint about me. At the opposite, I get really, usually a really good feedback from the students, because, as I said, I'm really nice. I'm not threatening anyone. Yeah, but then this, remember this person, this trans person who claims to be intersex, but now she only claims to be trans.
Oh, okay. They've walked back the claim since it turned out to be scientifically impossible.
Yes, this person then, I mean, it sounds like a feverish nightmare, but this person then said, oh no, like, it was all on Twitter, like, no, people throw rocks at our window and we have to flee. And then this person was tweeting from his like fleeing the country. And there was newspaper articles about it, like, oh, the critic of this woman, now she has to flee her home. She was.
Was there any proof? Like, were there ever photos of the luggage in the airport?
No, not to this day. There's any proof. but you're laughing. Like everyone who read it was laughing.
So
but
crazy.
this person wrote articles about me, gave interviews in a prestigious media format, where this person, where she and the wife gave an interview how they had to flee from.
It's just crazy.
And
this is just so irresponsible of the media, right? This is probably a really unwell person who's just lying or fantasizing, and then the media are like embracing them and giving them this huge platform. Why? It's not that person's fault that they're unwell. It's the fucking people platforming them. Why are they platforming that person? It's crazy.
I mean, maybe because in June I criticized all the media. I said, "Hey, do your job right,"
so
and then they were like, "No, you're evil." I mean, they also tried after my talk came out and the subject was discussed widely. Like everyone was trying to find a biologist who says the opposite. There was so many social scientists and all the media, and they were like, "No, she's wrong. She made mistakes." And but it's not. Like I presented to the public, "Hey, that's the biology, and you can't change it." Yeah. I mean, I think that was a big step because it brought all this discussion that was before it was only on Twitter and so feminists, and suddenly like a lot of people realized, hey, people go crazy when a biologist talks about the most basic thing in the world, like that. It really transformed the discussion to the public. And
good. Yeah.
You already said like the media, the state-funded media are really progressive. Yeah. So they were not fond of me, so they took every excuse to frame me as a bad person.
Yeah.
And when there was nothing, they just made things up, or they gave a platform to this person, and it went on until December, when there's one of the biggest shows, like a political. How you can say, like it's a political humorous show, like last week tonight, maybe this format, how you call it in English. So it's the biggest one in Germany. It has millions of viewers, and the moderator, they're also always taking horrible pictures of me, and then he was like laughing at me, like making jokes on my account, and he was like, "Oh, and she's so stupid because there are only two. There's more than two sexes. Like everyone knows that." And
this is so embarrassing.
And wow. And by this point, this person that is causing or is behind most of the damage that's done, introduced a new hashtag to Twitter, which was that Marie-Luise Vollbrecht. So I am denying Nazi crimes. And our state-funded trans organizations picked it up and spread it because they said I am denying the Holocaust, denying Nazi crimes, when I'm saying the Holocaust was about Jewish people.
Sorry, let's just spell that out, because I think that went very fast for anyone who doesn't know about the case. So we were talking about you being smeared by the media in order to kind of discredit you. So is this a claim just about like, this is just throwing more mud at you, or this is specifically connected to your commentary about trans or intersex connected to sex?
It was not, I mean, they already before called me a eugenic and a Nazi.
Yeah.
And also I was called a Holocaust denier before. So that's not, I mean, it's all like densely connected.
Yeah.
But they especially took one Twitter conversation I had about trans people and the Nazi times, where they said, that's proof that she's denying Nazi crimes. And I did not. I mean, a judge, I had to go in front of court.
But do you remember roughly what the tweet? Because sorry, my understanding, and this might be wrong, was like that this was about because the highest currency oppression in Germany, so in the woke politics pyramid, is to claim to be like a Holocaust victim. then the trans activists have started competing for Holocaust victimhood. That's the sort of like garbled version that reached me in Australia. So I thought that the pushback was specifically, like, they're not just saying as a way of smearing you that you deny Nazi crimes. They're specifically trying to claim, like, trans people were the victims of Nazis, and because you're denying that claim, you're therefore a Holocaust denier. Is that right, or is that a bit wrong?
It was more that I said there was a difference in the how the Nazi regime treated Jewish people and all the other people. I never said trans people were not victims. I just said it's just different. And don't call yourself a Holocaust denier, because Holocaust or Shoah is especially like a term who is about Jewish people. And the Holocaust was about the destruction of Jewish people from the world. Like, I mean, from the beginning, you had laws targeting Jewish people. You could not get rid of your Jewishness. They didn't care if you converted to another religion or anything. It was like an ethnical thing.
Yes.
And they wanted to eradicate Jewish people from the world.
So your point was we should not confuse
the main point.
Who was targeted by the Nazi regime with people who may have been hurt along the way. Like, trans people might have been victimized by the regime, but they were not the purpose of the regime. Is that a fair?
Yeah. Yes, it was. Or I mean, maybe they were targeted, but for different reasons, and also there was just a difference in, the how you call it, like how they were dealt with, basically.
Yes.
Like, you cannot compare yourself with that.
No,
because that is just.
It's very.
And that was actually.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I even said. I mean, I also said there is no difference in victim. Like, if a victim, a dead person is a dead person, but we can still talk about the reasons and the, let's say, backstory that led to the death of these people. And it was just destruction when it came to Jewish people, and just for trans people, as you call them, or transvestite homosexuals, these people, it was just a different different reality.
Yes.
In the Nazi time. That was all I said. That was my point.
Yeah.
I tried to make.
Yeah.
And then there was like, I was denying, I mean, this person actually said I was denying 100,000 queer victims of the Nazis. And this is, I mean, and this is just insane. Like, I never did that. And also this number, like, where did it come from?
I was going to say, it's also insane as a claim about the victims of the Nazis, right? It's not just, it's an unscientific claim in the first place, if I understand correctly, and you're not denying it. So,
yes.
And I don't know if
and also,
go ahead.
And also there's a difference, maybe I have to expand, because in Germany, Holocaust denial is actually a crime.
Yeah.
Like, if you do that, then you can and you will be punished if someone and I mean they're especially if they started the smear campaign, because a lot of trans activists and 3 trans organizations in Germany, NGOs, they're state funded, they get a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And in all their media channels, they started at the same time to spread this hashtag that this person made up about me, that I was denying Nazi crimes. And me and my lawyer, we tried to make them stop. We just sent them a letter like, stop it.
Yeah.
And then they took me to court because they said that they want to keep on saying that about me. And
but presumably Holocaust denial is a specific claim, like parallel to climate denial or whatever, where you say that whole thing didn't happen and is a conspiracy made up by activists. It's presumably not remotely that people are prosecuted for saying, I don't know, the Roma were not like victims on the same scale as the Jews or whatever. Like, it's not about the minutiae of the Holocaust science, right? It's about...
I mean, it can also, it's also not if you say the whole thing didn't happen. It's also if you just question certain aspects of it. Like there's
That would
people that say,
count.
oh yeah, they were targeted, but not like in these numbers. I mean, that could also qualify as Holocaust denial. This is a really, really strict rules in Germany, like based on the history.
Okay,
And
so they're not being crazy trying to get this to stick to you as a tactic, because there could be some cases of like factual claims within the Holocaust that they would be able to get you a criminal prosecution for. Is that
no? I mean, they did not. No. It's not about criminal prosecution. Like there was never any case of criminal.
Wait, sorry. I'm just trying to understand, what is the? You say it's illegal in Germany to deny the Holocaust?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to clarify. I've been assumed that it's just about denying the whole thing even happened. And now you say, no, it could be like factual claims within that. Like you deny that any Roma were killed or something. Is that right? Like you but then I'm just trying to understand, could they?
I mean, it's an extra. I think it depends how you define the word Holocaust. If you do it in the strict sense, then Roma people are not Holocaust victims. There's a different word for it, for the prosecution of Roma people.
But could the crime, could it be a Holocaust denial crime in Germany to make some factual claim?
That's an interesting question.
Okay.
I don't know if you deny anything about the destruction of the Roma people, which was also comparable.
Yeah.
There's still, I mean, I talked with a historian. He can explain you why there's still some differences, but a small difference. But I mean, it was also total destruction. But I'm not sure if that would qualify. Okay. I mean, there's also other laws you can prosecute for, like Volksverhetzung. I don't know how to translate that. Like to say something about a group of people. So it could be definitely
like hate crime.
Criminally charged. I'm just not sure if it could be criminally charged under the whole Holocaust thing.
Okay. Sorry, I might just be getting hung up on. So I was just trying to think, are they being creative, but they've got some chance of success because there's quite a bit of latitude in the Holocaust denial law? It's just that they didn't succeed in your case. Or are they being insane to even try that? And I thought they were being insane. And it sounds like you're saying, well, like they were wrong in my case, but maybe there's some scope for denying certain groups victimization.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just because also my case, the Vollbrecht case, it always comes up in the English-speaking world, and there's so many misconceptions about it. And I think this is one thing that I want to clarify. It was never about any criminal case. They said this thing about me. They said Marie's denying Nazi crimes, not in an effort to get me criminally charged.
I see. They were just smearing you with that allegation.
There was just a smearing campaign, so they hope it would stick.
Yep.
There was never a criminal charge against me. We went to a civil court because I tried to make them stop spreading this information. So it was a civil lawsuit, if you want. One was initiated by me, and the other one was initiated proactively by one of the trans organizations who said, no, bring this to court. But it was never about any criminal undertones. It was only about, are they allowed to say that, or are they not allowed to say that I'm denying?
Okay, no, that's really helpful. I certainly had the misunderstanding that you had been accused of Holocaust denial and then somehow had to defend yourself. Got it.
No, I was never accused of Holocaust denial. But I mean, they did it, of course, to make it look like it. And it was a thing my lawyer said when we were in front of the court. They said, everyone will think, if you allow this, that it goes on, I can call her a denier of Nazi crimes. Everyone will think that she's a Holocaust denier. And that's one of the worst things you can call someone. And the judge on the first, in the regional court said, oh no, people know that there's the Holocaust and there's other Nazi crimes. So if they call her a Nazi crime denier, no one will make this association. And of course, now everyone makes this association. There was always spreading like, I'm a Holocaust denier. I got punished. The judge said I'm a Holocaust denier. It's not true. It did not happen. And in a next level, as you will, because then we tried to take it to a higher court, they ruled that I did not even deny any Nazi crimes. Like, I just didn't do it. I was just giving facts, again, like historian facts in this time. There was some expert opinions on it, but they said trans activists have like their own alternative version of history. And from their point of view, in their alternative version of history, it makes sense to call me a denier of Nazi crimes. And because freedom of speech, and apparently, as the judge said, I am also not nice online, so I have to...
what the fuck? As if you have to be nice.
No, they said like, the first judge I was there was like, oh yeah, and you also for an academic and a woman, and you also like using this language, young lady, so you have to accept these other consequences of you being, if you don't behave online, not realizing, I think German law, like the German law system doesn't realize that when it comes to Twitter, there's like a big power imbalance.
Yeah.
It's not about one person said something and then another person said something. It's if three organizations start a smear campaign in a social media about someone being a Nazi crime denier, there's this big power imbalance.
Yeah, agreed.
But so this is the ruling at the end. Like, they explicitly stated, I never denied any Nazi crimes, but I have to accept that trans activists call me a Nazi crime denier. So they're still allowed to do it. They do it all the time. It gets translated. It's in Wikipedia articles about me now, also in the English-speaking world.
I mean, do you almost wish it would go to trial? In the sense, like, I would almost wish that it would have to go to trial, because then surely a criminal court, or whichever court it would be in, they would not say, well, everyone has their own reality. Like, surely a proper court, if you were officially alleged to be a Nazi crime denier or whatever it's called, and then they had to test out these ludicrous alternative history claims, then you would be vindicated. Do you have a sense that, like, even though they just want to smear you, it might actually have been better if this went to court properly? Like, what's your take on it?
I don't know. I was, for 1 year, I was going to court. I paid over almost 130,000 euros for all my going in front of the law. I mean, I was at the point, I mean, I can see where you come from. For me, it was just important to hear, okay, no, she didn't deny any Nazi crimes. That was, for me, this is the thing.
Enough.
I can always say, like, no, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
They called me that, but I didn't do it. But I had no, I mean, there would have been the opportunity to collect more money and maybe try it to go to, like, the highest law council in Germany. But I was so tired. I was so out of money. I was not strong enough to take it any step like higher. I just wanted it to be over. Like, it was,
I understand. Yeah.
Over a year where I had not only work, do my PhD, and also had to deal with all these things.
Yeah, I think this will make a lot of sense now that we've come full circle of why the PhD took longer than you anticipated. There's like so much to deal with. I mean, you're in a national pile-on. You're having your anonymous account outed. You're having your employer complain to you. You're having your students mobilized against you. You're being smeared in the press. That's such huge pressure for one person to be under. And when you become the sort of figurehead of all that hatred, it's just an insane and surreal experience. So I'm really sorry that you had to go through all that. I'm sorry. I can relate to what the trans activists are like, but you've had a much more vicious experience than I had in Australia. But it's just crazy that this keeps happening to women in all sorts of industries, but this like academic I don't know, the UK cases, there's so often women as well. It's like a particular woman denies a man's sense of himself and then he just goes after her and he has the social network to really agitate. And it's like his resentment breeds this whole political retaliation that presents itself as like a left, right, good, evil, but it's just him. Like to me, it's always just him actually angry at you.
Yeah, it's like a big gaslighting. I mean, you laugh. I mean, people laugh when I tell the story, but people were sitting, like people who saw it unfold. I think so many people realized what was going on, and they were really, really shocked how the media reacted.
Yes.
I mean, there was after this one show where the moderator said, "Oh, but everyone knows there are more than two sexes," and he took a picture and he made fun of me. People got so enraged. I mean, I think there was the most complaints. I don't know if it's true, but someone called me. There was hundreds of letters going in, and I mean, all the money I raised for
in defense of you. You mean?
In defense of me, and also all these. All the money I got for my lawsuit is because I crowdfunded it, and so many people are really are so supportive to me, like from all kinds of ages, men, women, conservatives, rights, left. I don't care, like, because it was so it was such an insane, unfair thing to do that this one person goes really crazy.
Yeah.
And in all the media, everyone is behind this person, and this person is suing people around me, mocking, lying, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Right. So in the public perception, it becomes a kind of David and Goliath, and then people come behind you in response to really perceiving it as unfair and asymmetric. I'm really glad to hear that, though, that you got that much support. And I wanted to ask, I hope you didn't have to pay that higher legal fee by yourself as a student.
No. I could not have to do it.
And have more people come out. So since you go out front first and you take a lot of the heat, have more biologists and more academics and more professionals now come out in support of science and the two sexes and non-ideological science communication? Does it feel like you have more people standing with you now?
Yeah, I think I am not too much biologist, sadly. I mean, so a lot of them write to me, but more than before. Like, there's more scientists and skeptics and people who are mostly like, maybe they thought, okay, biology is attacked from like creationists and from this kind of direction, but they now realize, all this like postmodern woke culture is also threatening biology. And I think it's also a fact that I'm a biologist and not only a feminist. I don't know if so many people would have come out to rally behind me if it was only like a feminist. Because I am sometimes, it's just, if it's about women's issues and women's rights and bathrooms and self-ID, whatever, I feel like it cannot pique as many people. But if you say, okay, this is it's just a biologist, like, it's science and it's facts, and she gets attacked and she gets smeared, I think it piques a whole other kind of group.
Agreed. Yeah.
To also realize what was going on. Like,
well, there's probably two things there, right? One is like, you've reached a different audience of people, like people that just care about truth and basic concepts and science. But the other thing is, I think your credibility as a feminist is stronger because you have this like hard science discipline as well. Whereas like I'm just thinking someone like me, I'm a philosopher. Most people don't even understand what that is. They associate it with the like I'm an analytic philosopher, that's pretty like rigorous, but most they don't know the distinction between continental. They might think you're just some postmodern idiot out there writing obfuscatory large word salads, right? So that if I'm a feminist, someone's just going to think like, well, why should I trust her at all, right? But so I think the biology, it actually props up the feminism as well as this threat to sex categories bringing in a new audience. I think that's really helpful. I think that feature of your situation is really helpful.
Yes, and I'm a young woman. I think it also plays a role. Like, I think it's also, if people see me being attacked, it's just also another emotional response.
Yeah.
Because I got physically attacked as a consequence of that, and people are threatening to come to my place, and police, telling me that I cannot say online where I am, and I still hope my address is not out there, and like all these things that happened before, in controversial public debate, but maybe more to older white men. And then there was, I think it's different. People think it's different that when a young woman is attacked,
yes,
than an older man.
I think that's right.
I think it's also a layer. Like,
yeah,
it has many layers, which
and the optics are different, right? Like, so as much as trans activists insist that trans women are women, when you have the optics of an obvious male threatening or intimidating an obvious female at like a protest or whatever, it just looks absolutely terrible in the video and the photo footage. So regardless of how much they insist, that big 6'2" towering male over like yelling at a female because she's denying his identity as a woman, it looks insane. No one is on board with that. Okay, we've been going probably a little more than an hour, so we should stop, and I should let you go and probably eat some dinner and so on. Thank you so much for making time to talk to me. It's such a pleasure to meet you and hear your story, and yeah, really cool and brave of you what you've been doing, and I hope you just get more and more support for continuing to do that in Germany.
Yes, thank you so much for giving me a chance to talk about it in English, because I feel like no one really knows what's going on, and a lot of people talk about my case. I see it, that they talk about it online in other discussions, but no one really knows what happened. And yeah, thanks for the chance to clarify maybe some things, and it was really nice meeting you too.
You absolutely have clarified some things. I had a misunderstanding of the legal case, so I'm really glad that we talked and I can explain it better now. So yeah, lovely to talk to you.